Now, on Focus today, we are taking you back inside the Canadian city that was totally abandoned in May this year. The entire population of Fort McMurray told to pick up their most essential items and leave as wildfires approached. Now, these were the worst recorded wildfires in Canadian history, leaving 1,600 homes burned and billions of dollars of damage overall in the heart of its already struggling oil sands region. Well, nearly 5 months on, how are the people of Fort McMurray coping? Our correspondent Pierre Millet has been back to find out.
This is where the wildfire hit the hardest. Once a week, Jean-Pierre de Villiers goes back to his neighborhood in the south of Fort McMurray. That's where he used to live, before everything was destroyed by the fire.
That was the courtyard with the garden. In the back, that's where our neighbors lived.
The blaze happened in late May and devastated this neighborhood.
This used to be a playground where children spent their afternoons in the summer. On a sunny day like today, you would have heard them playing.
The area was nearly wiped off the map.
I was looking out the window and the sky was entirely covered by smoke. The sky was orange because of the flames. It was unbelievable. And then everybody was evacuated. I spent 2 days in my car before I found a place to stay.
In Fort McMurray, almost 1,600 houses were entirely destroyed in just a few days. Its 80,000 residents were evacuated for almost 2 weeks. 4 months later, the community is still struggling to rebuild what it lost.
For one reason or another, several thousand people haven't come back. Either they're waiting, they found a job elsewhere, or they just gave up. Since the fire, the city hasn't regained its way of life.
The reality is tough. City officials say 15,000 inhabitants haven't come back since the fire. That's almost 20% of the entire population. That's why in the city center, many shops have closed or are in search of new employees. Some businesses, such as this garage, are struggling to stay open.
We are short-staffed. We normally have 4 to 5 people working in this station, and we currently have 1 person that's working. So normally I work upstairs. I do marketing and HR and things like that, but I'm actually working down here right now.
Another difficulty for the businesses in Fort McMurray.
They went into the fire already struggling. They've probably already used up all of their savings to try and stay open during 2015, and now they had 6 weeks or more of no revenue at all. Most insurance companies have not paid anybody anything. Most insurance companies are being very difficult.
The fire was another nightmare in this city, which is no longer the El Dorado that it used to be. Fort McMurray is a boomtown situated in the biggest stock of oil sands in the world. A city which has become a symbol of easy money in Canada, a city with pickups and strip clubs. But in the past 2 years, it's been hit by the drop in the price of oil. At the Chamber of Commerce, the consequences of the blaze are minimized. In the last 2 years, the big oil companies, who were the first employers in the community, had to take drastic measures.
We have unfortunately seen quite a few layoffs, and that will continue. We do know that that's going to happen, but our oil companies are continuing to produce as they can. But the fire just really punctuated this economic downturn. We were in an economic downturn pre-fire, and we are continuing to be in one right now. So it was just an additional thing that was sort of thrown at Fort McMurray, another punch in the gut.
However, some have decided to stay despite having lost everything. We're in Abraham's Land, a wasteland at the city boundaries. Here, the poorest victims are hanging out together. A lot of them lost their house and now live in these narrow camper vans. This is the case for Janet, who lives here with her partner and 2 dogs.
This is our lovely kitchen. And our dinette and our TV area.
Her and her partner were both fired when the price of oil dropped. Before this, everything was going well. The couple used to earn more than $20,000 a month.
Things were great. Our lives, we had a lot of fun doing whatever we wanted, and
we didn't have any problems with bills. We were both working.
Today, she gives a portrayal of a city on the edge of the abyss.
People still had that hope that it would continue to boom and grow. And then the fire happened and it wiped it clean, it wiped it all out. Now people are questioning whether they need to sell their houses now, whether they'll ever make money on their houses, whether they should ever buy here, whether it's just going to go down and down and down, whether the market will completely collapse. People don't think of Fort McMurray anymore as big money. They think of it as a time bomb.
The blaze didn't just affect Fort McMurray. It was the entire Albertan oil industry. Because of this, Canada's economy has suffered. This trimester, the country's GDP went down 0.4%, a record since the financial crisis of 2009.